Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching diexby playing in their tier 9 French tank destroyer. It is the Foch. Now, diexby is going to have, as you probably saw in the thumbnail or the title of this video, an incredibly stressful situation to be able to get through, and I just absolutely love games like this. And it is these kind of tanks, tier 9 French tank destroyers, or especially autoloaders I should say, that really do have the firepower to be able to pull off something magic in the right scenario. diexby is going to just show that what kind of a caliber of a player that they are and just do everything right, but maybe with a few surprises, so stay tuned as this one's going to get very hot. So let's talk about the Foch in general. It's one of those kind of tanks that, you know, hopefully there's not a super tester in a very unusual looking tank, an E65 Zwilling. A Zwilling, yeah, I think it's a double barrel German premium, probably coming to a loot box soon near you. Yeah, one to look forward to. I digress. The Foch, it's one of those kind of tanks where what you really want to do is just set up ambushes. When somebody knows that a Foch is there, they're not likely to just drive out in front of it, unless they're really, really stupid, right? So what you want to do with a Foch, either the Foch B or the Foch at tier 9, or alternatively, you know, the AC-48 at tier 8, which also has a 3-round autoloader as well, is to try and get into a position where you think someone's going to expose themselves. Now this vehicle, unfortunately, unlike the tier 10, has quite a larger intra-clip reload, which is 2.4 seconds compared to the 2. So you do need them to expose themselves for a lot longer than you would on the tier 10 vehicle. But still, 2.4 seconds intra-clip is not that much for taking 400 damage a pop. That's kind of like double the rate of fire, double the highest damage per minute you could have on something like a Tortoise, for example. However, this vehicle does have to then go and reload for 34 seconds, unlike a Tortoise. So yeah, its damage per minute overall isn't very good on this tank, but when you consider the burst potential that you have with these French tank destroyers, it's actually pretty scary. So the only thing that I really don't like about almost this entire replay is how diexby is very much like willing to just sit there and wait, because what you're going to see is that the way that this battle develops over on the western flank, you kind of feel that maybe you can be able to be a little bit more aggressive in these scenarios when you're a top tier tank destroyer and not allow the enemy team to be able to get forwards, or shall I say not allow them to be able to win the other flank and be able to get through. And so when you start to see that you're down by 3,000 hit points and you're down by 3 kills and you've got a sneaky Kampfpanzer who actually, would you believe it, is a clan mate there in their Kampfpanzer. We have Shibotta here from Envest playing in their Kampfpanzer, and they have made a very, very aggressive maneuver to be able to get behind here. But as you're going to see, unfortunately for the Envest player, they are going to get absolutely butchered by diexby there, completely massacred. You know what, that was a very bold play. I'd say a very bold play. You know what, I would forgive them for thinking, you know, we're winning the west, we've got the center, let's get behind and farm all of these players who haven't attacked even though they've got a numerical advantage. But yeah, far too aggressive. That would be me playing aggressive on a night where maybe I'm a little bit tired, to be honest with you. But good kill there for the Foch, secures the flank. But as we can see still, they just haven't really made much progress in this town. They've traded a Pat in the tank, which is never a bad trade, although for a lower tier heavy in the Carnarvon Action 10. And diexby, even though they're clearly an incredible player, has only managed to do that kind of like free gift from the Envest Kampfpanzer that managed to come in there. An 800 damage in the first 4.5 minutes of the battle is definitely not the impactful battle that you would want to have. And quite a lot of people go to me and say, oh, these games, they feel helpless, QB. I feel like I'm always losing. Why am I always losing? Well, it's because you're not impacting your battles early. And battles of the average game of World of Tanks is kind of like 4, 5, 6 minutes long. And so if you haven't done anything in the first 4.5 minutes here, then how are you ever going to be able to win a large number of your games? However, diexby is going to say, well, Mr. QuickyBaby, how about I show you? How about I show you? Because diexby is now going to find themselves in a 1 versus 8. A 1 versus 8, ladies and gents, because the artillery on their team, the Lorraine, died just a little bit after diexby managed to finish off the Medviet. So whether you would call this a 1 versus 8, which it technically is, or a 1 versus 9, that's going to be up to you. So take it away, diexby. Show us what you got. So they're going to start by ram killing Borask on the reload. And what I really like the DXB is going to be doing here is they're going to make their position unpredictable. You will see many times through this replay that it's all about that relocate after you've managed to create that kill or that like assassination or that ambush. You want to then be able to get to a different location to make yourself unpredictable for your opponents, because if you're unpredictable, then they're going to make mistakes. Also, talk about a little bit of an opportunity. Did you know that that wall there is actually destructible and you can shoot through that gap? Not a lot of people realize that, but it's actually a filthy opportunity to get shots as your opponents come across the corner for free shells. And so DXB has decided that they're going to rock up, get their butt to the corner, and the weak side armor and the weak rear armor of the Foch will not be nearly so exposed. The Foch still has awful weak points on top of the vehicle, but you know, you have to sit in front of a Foch to be able to shoot them, right? So sitting in front of a Foch is definitely not something that you want to do, especially when the Foch has got a large amount of gold rounds. 325 penetration on the APCR rounds mean that is pretty much going to go through the front of everything on the enemy team. So DXB managed to get their second kill of this 1 versus 8, now reducing the enemy's numbers to be a 1 versus 6. And this is where you just got to pray that your opponents are overconfident. They think, there's no way that somebody could 1 versus 8, right, guys? So they all just keep driving in one by one. So DXB looking for the corner there, looking to see if they're going to be able to shoot a tank that tries to flank across. Also, in these kind of situations, you want to try and position yourself where your proxy spotting will be useful for you, but not useful for your opponents. So by sitting in this position, DXB is going to still proxy spot as they come around the corner on the left, but not make it so that your opponents are going to be able to have it easy. And wow, the heavens align. And DXB manages to finish off a G-Saw 1008 and a Conway, but the Batchat behind them is healthy. And so DXB is going to reload, and this is completely the right thing to do. Now, should the Batchat be charging in here against the Foch? Yes. Yes, it absolutely, utterly should. The Foch, if the Batchat's a knowledgeable player, they'll know that they fired at least 2 of the 4, and with 900 hit points, the Batchat isn't going to be able to finish off the Foch. However, you know, a lot of people might not realize just how long the Foch's reload is, so the Batchat's actually going to leave, and I bet you DXB is absolutely thanking their lucky stars here, as the Batchat, unknowing of other French autoloader reloads, and so has decided to go off towards the west. So the Cobra called Never Give Up gives a commendation, we see there, to DXB, and DXB gives them the fist bump back. Really cool feature. I really like that Wargaming added that. I do think that there should be not direct rewards, but maybe there could be a badge that you get if you get them enough from players who aren't your platoon mates. Anyway, DXB now clearly knows that there's something inside the cap circle. Now, what exactly it's going to be remains to be seen. Also, we haven't seen the Ferdinand for a very long time, and the Ferdinand was on full health, spotted towards the spawn, but considering that the Ferdinand hasn't really made themselves known in the subsequent 8 minutes of this game, they're a little bit of an enigma, a force that we don't know exactly where it's going to be, what could it be possibly doing, or even if it's still been playing the game, as they haven't been spotted for such a long time. So, DXB now going to make their way forwards. They have the advantage against this Batchat as long as the Batchat doesn't manage to flank. And there we go. The first shot whiffs. You've got to hit all 3 now. Okay, 1 in. Get the second in. Just about tracks the Batchat. Will they ram? Will they go for the kill? Finish him off. And think about turning towards the artillery. And then realize, okay, time to get out of here. A med kit to improve the vehicle's mobility, remove that stun that could have locked them in place, and now they are just thinking, where's this Foch? Where's this Foch? Where's the Su-14-2? A 1 versus 8 now becomes a 1 versus 3. DXB finishing off 5 opponents single-handed. That would be enough to be able to get a Colabanos medal, but they're still outnumbered 3-1 with double the hit points on the enemy team. So DXB now decides that they don't want to go back up the predictable way and maybe take multiple shots from the artillery or alternatively the Ferdinand on the enemy team. So they're going to slinky their way up this slope. And is that slope on the right traversable? That could be a little bit awkward. Imagine trying to get up there while you have maybe 1, 2, or 3 players capping your circle. But DXB deciding to flank here. Will they go right to be able to use that little bush location? Nah, no time for that. The artillery is too much of a threat. And wow, it's the Su-14-2 who's in the cap circle. The other artillery is still on their side. Bit of a low roll there, meaning that they don't finish off the Su-14-2, called Tragic Love on the enemy team. And I tell you what, this is looking like an absolute tragedy on the enemy team, considering that DXB has just managed to show absolutely no love towards them. But ladies and gents, boys and girls, this is where things are just so disappointing, you know? The Cobra called Never Give Up says Ferdinand AFK, and yeah, guys, look, you're just going to have to ignore that this was a 1 versus 8 where one of the players was AFK. 1 versus 7, just enough, you know? And so DXB just making their way right towards the cap circle here to go and farm that inevitable damage. But you know what? Oh my word, still just an incredible game here for DXB. Loved what they did by constantly relocating in. Oh wait, no. The Ferdinand's in the open field and they're not AFK? Oh, I baited you, boys and girls. Okay, things just got interesting, really interesting. Especially how the Ferdinand manages to penetrate the first of their shells, and they're firing gold here. So DXB must penetrate 3 out of 4 of these shells, otherwise this Ferdinand might be the heartbreak here for our hero. So DXB stops. Okay, take a deep breath, aim them. Hit that lower plate, or probably the upper plate will be okay with these gold rounds. 2 in. The Ferdinand pens another shot, but DXB remains calm under pressure. Finishes off the Ferdinand. And don't drive off the bridge, bruv! This game is still drawable if you were to go there, but maybe DXB presses R key like 3 times there, maybe like their whole face roll the keyboard in excitement of managing to secure that 10th kill, the Pools medal, and also getting the one that everybody wants, the Collar Bandles medal for standing alone against at least 5 opponents, and in this case 8. What a game of World of Tanks. We can see that DXB is a very dangerous player to back into a corner, and irrelevant of maybe the passive play at the start of the battle that was definitely negated the incredibly aggressive play by the Kampfpanzer from Envest there. We saw exactly to handle those high pressure 1 versus many scenarios, and it's usually aggression, but relocate after the aggression, surprise your opponents, and just keep up that relentless pressure to destroy them as quickly as possible before they have an opportunity to amass against you. And for the enemy team, it's one of those moments of no cap, kill all, severely coming back to bite them in the butt. So this was DXB's first ace tanker in the Foch, a Pools medal for those 10 kills, a Pascucci's for destroying the artillery, the one that everybody wants, the Collar Bandles medal for standing alone against at least 5, in this case 8, a high caliber for that near 6,000 damage, and a defender medal for protecting the cap circle. And yeah, full gold. Only thing disappointing about this replay, but I'd trade 11,000 credits to be able to get my hands on a Pools medal as well. So DXB, congratulations to you for remaining calm, cool, and focused despite that rough start in that game. And thank you so much for uploading your epic 1 versus 8 onto the What Record website for the community to enjoy. I thoroughly did, which is why I wanted to make a YouTube video on it today, and I really hope all of you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the most opponents you've ever destroyed solo in a game of World of Tanks? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.